traffic is encrypted. Why? Because encryption is employed between the end hosts, right? So the user sending the traffic encrypts the traffic or data, and the other user kind of decrypts it, right? So if a packet or data is sent, if it is encrypted and a network-based IDS looks at it, it cannot find out what is inside the data, what is being encrypted, right? So if I encrypt a packet when I send and the receiver can only decrypt it, how can a network-based IDS see what is inside, what is being encrypted, right? So it cannot clearly find out what is the traffic, what are the contents of the traffic. Whereas a host-based IDS, because it's being decrypted at the host, it can look at what is the decrypted data. Okay, and then it can prevent the decrypted data, say, having some malicious thing, it can prevent it from being executed. It can raise an alarm that this packet appears to contain some malicious data, so don't execute this packet. So it can warn the host from not to run the traffic, process the traffic. Whereas the network-based IDS cannot kind of warn the administrator because they cannot look at it. As a kind of solution to this, nowadays network-based IDS are programmed. For example, if the other end is a kind of server, right? The network you're trying to really protect, say, is a server, right? Comprising the servers, then if the server uses what is called the SSL key, all these things will cover in the network course, but it's kind of like a key that the servers maintain with the clients. Okay? So the SSL key typically is supposed to be remembered or known only to the server and the client communicating. Okay? A network-based IDS doesn't really know the SSL key because SSL key is used to encrypt the traffic. You will use this SSL key, for example, if you are doing any e-commerce transaction, you're paying by credit card or anything, right? So you're paying, say, to Amazon. So the Amazon server is here and the client you're paying, right? So the key, if you see HTTPS, that's really, the S really stands for this SSL, Secure Socket Slave, between the client and server. So the if the network-based IDS is programmed with the SSL key, then it can decrypt all the traffic because, right, the SSL key is what is used to encrypt decrypt the traffic, and traditionally it is known only to the client and server. But if you can let the network-based IDS to also know the SSL key, then it can also decrypt the traffic and kind of monitor it, what is inside the packet. And if it's something malicious, it can raise an alarm. So nowadays, network-based IDS are kind of capable of doing this encryption decryption based on the SSL keys. Okay?
Can you use a host and a network together?
No, as I said, the network-based runs on the monitors the whole network traffic, and the host-based IDS runs only on that particular host. It's like, you know, running a personal firewall on a stateful firewall. A personal firewall runs only on that particular machine, whereas the other ones kind of protect the whole network. Okay? They kind of complement each other, but you cannot run both of them together. So this is active and passive IDS. As I said, an active can also be called as intrusion prevention system because it's more reactive. It could, for example, reset a TCP connection, or it can kind of decrypt the packets and find out what is inside the packet. Okay? So to do all these things, the NIDS has to be an active NIDS. Whereas a passive IDS cannot kind of react to the attack. You can just monitor and raise the alarm. Okay, the host-based IDS. As I said, it examines some critical log files and audit trails. That's what is used for forensics. So if you want to really kind of find out what happened on the system for the last 24 hours or something, you look at the log files, you kind of trace all this information to find out what really happened before or during the attack. Okay? And that's why the attackers normally also target the log files, because if they change or erase the log files, whoever looks at thing after the attack, they may not be able to find out or trace the source of the attack, right? So investigators try to what? Trace back who caused the attack or who launched from where, right? So if the attack traffic can erase all the log files or corrupt the log files, then nobody can trace it quite easily. Okay? So some of the latest malware, it happened to several times to my computer. Previously this what do you call, Windows used to have this what do you call it? You can go back to the previous state of the machine. What do you call that?
Oh, the same
Restore mode, right? Nowadays, most of the time, any malware infects my machine. The first thing it does is erases all the restored, the system state that I have saved, right? What is that called?
System state?
There is a very particular name for it. You want to back up something. System tools. Yeah, the backup system restore. The restore point. The restore point really has an image of your system. You can really create a restore point. For example, if I do this, create a restore point, I can save the whole thing as an image. Okay. So after a while, if say your system is infected or if it behaves abnormally, you can kind of restore my computer to an earlier time. So you can save this restore point with a particular name, and then you can restore to that particular time. So all your user files, if you had all your data, Word documents, everything, no, they will not be lost. Only the installation. So if you install, say, some new software after the restore point, they will be lost. Okay. So this used to be very effective, but then all the latest viruses and malware, the first thing they do is either corrupt the restore points. Corrupt means they kind of damage it, so even if I restore it, they will be still there, or they kind of totally erase it. Okay? So when I go back and look for the restore points, it will not be there. So I cannot really restore my system. So that's what they do. Okay? So the attackers normally try to erase the log files or kind of at least corrupt them so that they cannot be quickly traced back. So as I said, the strategy normally they use is they try to see if the critical files which are not supposed to be modified or modified by computing, say, the hash values. Okay? And they could also be based on this kind of monitoring the activity. So, for example, logins at odd hours, login authentication failures. So, if you repeatedly get authentication failures, so like you have a personal computer, right? The user is supposed to remember the password. So, if he tries to log in and repeatedly his login attempts fail, it's a kind of warning that someone else is trying to log into the machine. So, those are the things that it monitors. Later, the subsequent modules, we will look at this privilege escalation attack, where a program that could be run at a higher level. For example, there is a program that could be run as a root level program, okay? But it's not supposed to be run as a root level program all the time. It's supposed to be run only at certain times. But if, say, a system is infected, then that program could be run as a root level program all the time or most of the time. Then that is another indication that the system is being under attack. Okay? Because that program is not supposed to be run all the time under that elevated privilege. It's supposed to be run as a normal program. Even though it could be run as an elevated privilege, it's supposed to be run only at certain times. If the system is infected, then it is possible that the viruses running on the system could run the program all the time at an elevated level. So that's an indication to the host IDS that something is wrong going on the system. Okay? So as you see, most of it is kind of perception. It will not be always 100% correct. So that's why you have always false positives and negatives. Okay? So you still have the same kind of logical components. In addition, that you have log files playing a critical role in this, and this pattern matching is kind of like an artificial intelligence approach. You kind of decide based on certain patterns, okay, what's going on in the system. So we kind of covered all these things. Again, a host-based IDS would be like a personal firewall where you can really set it to filter some specific traffic which a network-based IDS cannot really filter. And by that you can reduce false positive rates, because network-based IDS, if it filters the traffic, it may not reach certain hosts, right? So it may allow giving the benefit of doubt. Whereas in a host-based IDS, the host, the administrator of the host has all the power to filter the traffic that it doesn't want, right? So with this, you can really reduce the number of false positives you have. Okay. So another thing is equivalent thing is kind of a traffic that is not liked by a particular host, or a host doesn't want a particular traffic. The other host may want that traffic, right? So those things can be configured using a host-based IDS, whereas network-based IDS cannot really set or filter those traffic, because some hosts may want to receive them, some may not want to receive them. So those kind of filtering will be done only with the host-based IDS. So the main problem with the host-based IDS is it uses the local system resources because it is run as part of the machine, other applications. And it cannot relate to the activities going around the network, okay? And as I said, the attackers could try to log and kind of disable all corrupt all the log files, okay? And you cannot really say, I run, if you have a network of 100 hosts, I am running say 90 hosts, my network is protected. No, you have to run a host-based IDS on all the machines, right, to protect, because a particular host-based IDS can protect only a particular machine. So even if one machine is not running a host-based IDS, it will be under attack, right, or possible to be attacked. Whereas if you run a few network-based IDS, it can really at least protect all the hosts to a certain extent, right? So you cannot say, which means what, a host-based IDS must be installed on every system that you want to protect. Whereas a network-based IDS, a few network-based IDS would be sufficient enough. Okay. So the last topic in this module is honeypot. And honeypot is more like, as the name itself tells, you put certain machines in a network to which no traffic should come. So someone is trying to send packets to a machine which is not supposed to receive any traffic, then it means what? Someone is at least trying to see or trying to communicate with the machines in the network, right? So they are trying to find out what is going, what are the resources available in the network. It's like telling, I'll keep my door open in my house. Okay? Ideally, no one should come, isn't it? But if someone comes, it means what? They're trying to penetrate, right? Other than the regular user. Okay? So a regular user should not really try to penetrate, because no one is supposed to know that the existence of this honeypot, because it's of no use to anyone. Okay? You just put it out there. Okay, and if someone is trying to communicate specifically to that, it means someone is trying to enter your network. Yes.
I thought honeypot was like when used for operating system, like it's something like you said when you let's say you need to find out how a attacker get in the system, so you make like a fake system and that what it is?
That's what it is. You kind of create a kind of fake system, means you kind of put it out there with an IP address, but no, it's of no use. It's not giving any service, right? And a group of honeypot is what's called a honeynet. Okay. Now, sometimes you try to do this to be more kind of a proactive measure. So right now, say your network is protected, but you want to see if someone is going to attack, who is that going to be? So you put it out there so that if a malicious traffic or any traffic comes to that honeypot or honeynet, you can trace back to who sent it, so that you can block them and build up a firewall list. You see, this will be again used, probably it will be used to do what? Build up your signatures, right? You kind of put the honeypots out there, and if a traffic comes to the honeypot, it means what? Whoever sending it is trying
malicious.
to probe your network, okay? Normally it is because we are not doing that in this course,
So
but
the honeypot, like, you're not supposed to know about it?
yeah,
It's supposed to be a
It's
secret.
like it's triggering an attack.
it's triggering an attack. Like if I keep something, a lot of money over here, right? If you are a good person, you are not supposed to come and take it,
Oh, okay, I get you.
right? So
It's like a mouse
I
trap.
understand what you're saying.
It's like a mouse trap. You put the cheese
yeah,
out
it's like a
there.
mouse trap. So you put it out there, so a good person will not touch it, but a bad guy will try to see what it is, right? Have you heard of this Nmap or some?
Yep.
You might have heard. So what is that?
It's a tool used to scan for open boards.
Right. I might have told this introduced this term before. It's called reconnaissance. Like when what you call thief wants to rob from a bank, right? He'll not just go randomly and say I want money and have a gun and ask threaten people, right?
The ones in Jackson do. The ones in Jackson do.
He will be caught. He has to plan for the attack, right? So he has to find out when there are few customers in the bank and what's the security in the system, the bank, and all these things, right? So reconnaissance is basically planning for the attack. And there are several tools that are available. At least from a beneficial point of view, you can find out what ports are open on the machines. Okay, so you can run this Nmap and several other tools to kind of find out what machines are available in network, what ports are open in those machines in a network, and what operating systems are they using and all those things. Okay? Sometimes those information will be used to plan for an attack, because if you are running say, a particular operating system, it may have some vulnerabilities. If you are running, say, if some certain ports are open, for example, say the web HTTP port is open, and you are running certain operating systems, you kind of find out what vulnerabilities will be there if this particular port is open, right? So you kind of plan for the attack. Okay, so this honeypots, if they receive such traffic, because this is also traffic. If I'm trying to find out what port is open on a particular machine in a network, right? I have to send the packet. Okay, so my client point of view. So even if you are doing a ping, have you done this ping thing?
Yep.
So if you are doing some ping on certain things, they receive your traffic, a packet, so they can trace back or look at it at least from that side and see I'm getting a packet say from this network, right? So if honeypot is receiving packets from a client, even though they may be Nmap kind of packets trying to just probe and find out what operating system is there, what ports are open, all those stuff, someone is at least trying to probe and find out what is out there. So you can later filter all these packets coming from those clients, from those IP addresses, right? So it's kind of more like a protective measure, and also to build up your firewall signatures and IDS signatures. Okay? And sometimes you could also detect this or catch this spam email people, like because you could fake what people do to send out the spams. They need an email relay server which can just send all those emails to several other people. Okay, so you kind of fake a honeypot to serve as an email relay server. So if an attacker thinks that a honeypot could just broadcast emails, they'll send a spam email to it and see if it can broadcast. Again, such honeypots should not receive any traffic. So if you fake it as an email relay server, and if some packets come to it as an email to be broadcast, you can find out who is sending it, right? So it can be used to find source of a spam email.
So that a honeypot can be used on a network and a single computer, or is it just based
I
on?
had a figure, but I removed. Yeah, you could run a honeypot. Normally, it's like the demilitarized zone. You run it on the periphery of the network because you don't want to run a honeypot deep inside the protected network, because all the attack traffic will reach your regular machines. So you put it like a demilitarized zone at the periphery of the network, and normally you have a group of machines like a honey net. You could have one single machine, a honeypot too. And the only difference is that honeypot is one single machine, and honeynet is a group of honeypots.
Okay.
So that leads us to the last topic, which is packet sniffer or protocol analyzer. So this is, so in the project 3, I'm planning to have all these 3. Packet sniffer, which is Wireshark, and IDS, and firewall. So which will post quite soon. So watch it out. So don't do it in the last minute. Some people came today telling my Ubuntu crashed. What I can do if it crashed the last minute. You have to really kind of do it ahead of time. Okay. Alright, so Wireshark is a packet analyzer again. So what a packet analyzer does is it runs in a promiscuous mode, which means nobody else can see it's running. You could run, as we'll do in this project, this packet analyzer on your machine, but you have to have administrative privileges. So if you have a laptop on which you can have administrative privileges, you can run it. But to capture more packets, I suggest running it, coming to the lab and doing it on the lab machines, because if you run from your home, you do not have much traffic or many packets going around on the network, right? So, because you may want to capture some packets and analyze what's going on with them. Okay? So that's the purpose of a packet analyzer. It is normally used for good things because, at least from an education point of view, since most of you, or at least half of you, are just taking the network course, this will help you to learn the headers in a packet. Okay, you'll have IP header, the TCP header, and a frame header, and all those things. You can learn these contents of each of those headers, and then the TCP, UDP, Ethernet, and all these protocol things. So start the project early if you have not taken a network course, or if you have not been used to all these terminologies. Okay. And it can also be used by administrator to monitor traffic. So for example, you can think no one is knowing what I'm doing in my personal computer in my office. No, someone is still watching. Okay, so if you're visiting, say, YouTube or some other websites, they can really watch and say this packet, so-and-so packet, this many packets are going from this computer to this thing. So they can trace back and say you watched some movie which you're not supposed to watch from your office computer. Okay? So all these things will be fixed. Nowadays, switches are also having this capability, not only ports, you can run packet analysis on switches and routers, so they have specialized ports that can capture this traffic and kind of monitor it. Okay? So we'll complete this module, so until this we'll have for your quiz on Thursday, no, Wednesday next week, 10th, right? So the chapters from now on, the modules, especially chapter 3, if you have already looked at it, module 3 is more of programming, okay? So if you're weak in programming, don't miss class, come here and listen to all these here.